Here's how to automate your sales process so completely that it feels illegal. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to run you through a 5-stage process that I've used to generate over $128,000 in the past 6 months by building and selling AI lead generation solutions. So it starts with stage 1, which is doing all of your lead generation manually, and each stage is going to build off each other in a more and more automated way until we get to the final stage, which is like completely automated end-to-end sales. So this is manual lead generation. This is where you're doing all of it manually. You're, finding your prospects, reaching out to them, researching them, understanding what works and why, but you're like literally manually typing in emails and finding people and figuring out their contact information. This is how I started like 2 years ago. I was, running a business, and I just found like 200 people. I had an Airtable base. Every time I would send an email, I would check it off on the Airtable base once I reached out to them. Stage 2 is auto sourcing the emails. So this is where you use something like Apify, Bright Data, Tavly, whatever it is, to go and automatically find the leads for you. So you can pull in, thousands of leads, use some sort of lead database. And when you pull in thousands of leads, you have all those leads ready to be reached out to. And then that's when you start having the AI, do research on these leads, personalize the leads, verify them, and then, send them out. So this is like, you can build some N8N workflows. The first couple clients I got with lead gen, this is basically what I offered them. And I'll show you here what the N8N workflow looks like. So here's how the workflow works. You have, I'm pulling the leads in manually into a spreadsheet or automatically using Leads Rapidly, Apollo, Apify, something like that. And then I'm going in and I'm adding all of these leads into a Google Sheet. And then I'm basically built this workflow so it'll loop over every single row in the Google Sheet. It'll run a Perplexity API call on them to find them information on them. It will then personalize the email using OpenAI. Let me show you what that looks like here. It looks like, you are a professional cold email copywriter. Here's the guidelines. Here's the example. Use the Perplexity data to personalize the email. Then I would update the row with that personalization. And then after it went through 10,000 rows or whatever, then I would add it to instantly, and I would have the personalized component be one of the fields in that spreadsheet. So that's essentially what stage 2 is. You're auto sourcing them and then you're enriching them. Stage 3 is automated campaign creation. So this is essentially very similar, but then you're going and you're using the AI to go and say like, okay, here's my offer, here's my market, go and write me the actual campaign. And then it's going and it's generating the campaigns for you. It's sourcing the leads for you. You click one button, your leads are just funneling into a new campaign. And this is what me and my team have been building out using, the first iteration was in N8N. The second iteration, we said we want to scale this up to, hundreds of thousands of leads per month. So we need to build it out inside of a custom solution with Python, building it with Cursor and having different like SQL databases and just making it completely custom on the back end with a bunch of different workers. And so this is essentially what that looks like, what we built. So we basically built this so that we can go into the campaigns. We can say like, I want to reach out to, high volume law practices that are specializing in PI and criminal defense, and then, however many leads we want. The file name is, high volume law, July _1. And then we have, the number of leads, 500. This basically just triggers the Apify scraper, whether we're using our Instantly account or a client's. And then we have the, Apollo URL that we're going in here. And then, once it ends up running, we end up actually just getting all of these leads into our system. So if I go in here, here's one that we ran for a client. And you can see, all right, we fetched 1,500 leads. Then we verified them, enriched them. We used AI, Perplexity, and OpenAI to write the email copy. Then here's how many Instantly records there were. So, most of them got verified. The Instantly records, 1516, 1,516 inside of Instantly. And then we're basically just doing this and adding, 2,000 leads into this. We're segmenting out like hyper specific. We want to reach out to these types of people. 2,000 leads are in this campaign, 2,000 in this one, 1,500 in this one. We're testing out all these different campaigns, and we're able to see and pull with each of these clients. So we just pulled in, then we create a customized AI dashboard for each of the clients. And so for each of the clients, they can essentially see which campaigns we're running, how many emails are sent, and we're working on adding in more visual graphics into the system. But every client gets their own dashboard of the things we've been doing. We just launched this yesterday, so the reply rate's pretty bad. But as we continue to scale this, we're just iterating on the campaigns and testing their offer out. And so this is essentially what, stage 3 is, where we're automating the entire thing so that we just say, reach out to these people, click go. It creates the campaign, it adds the leads into Instantly, it does all the personalization, and it can handle, with one click of a button, doing everything. Now the stage 4 is the automated appointment setter. So this is where we actually go, and anyone that responds to our campaigns, we qualify the leads, and the AI agent goes and actually books meetings with them. And so we're giving it a knowledge base. We're telling it, how we want it to reply. And then meetings are just showing up on our calendar without us even thinking. So we can build this out in N8N or Relevance. Inside of N8N, you're basically pulling any responses from, so you have like Instantly, and you're basically just pulling any responses from Instantly into a webhook. And then that webhook, is an N8N workflow. And then you have the AI agent, and it's going and figuring out how to respond. And then it's writing the email and then sending it back. And there's an API call inside of Instantly's API. So if you go to Instantly API v2, there's an endpoint that says reply to email. So you're pulling in the information, then you're actually going and replying to the email. So that's how that works. What you can also do is set it up using something called Relevance. So we've been building out a lot of Relevance agents lately within my company. A lot of the different AI infrastructure and operating systems that we're building require, managing inboxes and stuff like that. And so, like, for example, I built one, I get a bunch of sponsorship requests on YouTube. I built one which basically says, it'll find any emails that I get. It'll say, like, here's the instructions, here's the terms, go. Anyone that reaches out to me, do a bunch of research on them, and then, draft up an email. The minimum rate is $2,000 per video. And then, here's some sample responses, and it has access to all these different tools over here. And you can basically give it, Instantly's API, Smart Leads API, whatever it is. And you can have these agents, which are actually really easy to set up inside of Relevance. You literally just tell it, set up an agent that does this, and it will build it for you. So, like, if you're a little bit more advanced, you can build out this, appointment setting agent inside of N8N. If you're more on the beginning side, I would recommend Relevance AI, and it will, pretty much do everything for you. Even if you just know N8N, but you don't want to take all the time to build it, you can set it up in something like Relevance and have it do it for you, so that you can have it, find the leads, add it to the campaign. A lot of the stuff that we did with custom code and custom software development, you can accomplish a lot of the same things on a smaller scale inside of Relevance, although it gets really pricey really fast if you try to scale it up. And now the next one is automated decision making. And so we can think about it like this. So now we have, let me go in here. So we have the campaigns and the leads. So, automated, we get the leads into the campaign automatically. Then once the leads are in the campaign, we do a bunch of personalization, and the AI goes and enriches those leads, gets a bunch of personalization. And then once the personalization is finished, the next part is going in and actually, doing something with these leads. So if I go here, let me add these down here. So it's personalized, and then you're, automatically creating the campaign. So we'll go here, we're automatically creating the campaign. So campaign creation, campaign creation. Now the last part, once you have automated all three of these different things, the last part is actually decision making. And so what does that look like? You're essentially saying, okay, now that we've run all of these, we've gotten a bunch of data. We figured out, like, out of sending, these 10,000 emails, here's all of the data that we have. And then that goes in and reinforces and improves the system. So there's a shit ton of data that we've gotten from this system. This is what we're building out internally and kind of hard coding into the system. Now that we have all of the data, is the segment right? How is the personalization? Can we improve the AI prompt that does the personalization and split test some prompts here? How is which campaign worked best? Can we start to hard code some of that into the context engineering and the prompt engineering into the system? And then you can essentially build out an AI prompt and an AI system which will as the data is coming in from the leads that you're sending, the personalization, the campaigns, it's going and it's improving each of these different things based on like, okay, this personalization worked best. Let's, split test and optimize for that. Let's optimize for whatever campaign creation is best. And this is where you can go in and you can have these like internal analytics dashboards that are showing you all the different things that are happening in your campaigns and that are automating some of the decision making. And so this is really what we're building at Smart Scaling AI. We've completed stage 3. We're working on, stage 4 and 5 right now. We're actively building it out. And, as we're building all of this out using Cursor, SQL databases, this is essentially, the system that I'm going all in on. I truly believe that being able to build end-to-end sales infrastructure for a company or for an AI agency, we've actually been working on an offer where, an AI agency, the primary problem an AI agency has is struggling to get clients. So not only have I built out like an entire, curriculum to say like, here's how you do all this. Here's how you set up the email infrastructure, create your offers, create your email, write really high quality emails. If we go into here, there's a bunch of prompts, speaking their language, the value ladder, awareness ladder. There's a bunch of psychology and there's a bunch of like specific things that you need to understand about, how to write these emails. But then once you do, setting it up. And so we're also creating a done for you where it's like you come to me as an agency. It's like, okay, let me just run the system. I know what offers work, what markets work. I'm going to press go. Our agent squad is going to go and, find you deals, find you companies to work with. And, all we have to do is, you're ready to go. All right, let's click go. You have, leads into your system tomorrow. But the reason I say all this is because lead generation has different components to it. Most businesses are stuck in between stage 1 and stage 2. Like it's actually not that hard to win because most businesses are either manually finding leads. Like I literally talked to one of my clients who's like, oh yeah, we got this like other SDR and she's like manually finding these leads and creating these databases and reaching out to like 50 people a day. It's like there's literally systems that will go and scrape hundreds of thousands of leads for you. Will do all of this work for you. You can reach out to 1,000x that, but also make it personalized because the AI is researching, it's making it personalized, right? And so, the more that you can move to stage 2, to stage 3, to stage 4, the more value you're going to be able to add to literally any business, especially your own. And the more you'll be able to really, unlock client acquisition as a repeatable process, right? There's only a couple ways to get clients, ads, content, cold email, affiliates, warm outreach, that sort of thing. I truly believe that cold outreach, cold email is the best way to start in the AI space because content is extremely difficult. I'm, creating content here, but it's been, 8 months of consistent work to build this up, to get to like 15,000, subscribers. Then there's, ads, which is you have to spend a bunch of money to start seeing results. Cold email, you just have to pay for the infrastructure and for the leads. And if you know how to do it right, it's not that expensive. And then the system's just running. It's just bringing in new clients on autopilot. Whereas, some other gurus on YouTube talk about, reach out to, do a bunch of Upwork applications to get clients. Upwork is so freaking saturated. Do not do Upwork. Cold email is basically a blue ocean because if you find novel ways to source the leads, then it's like you're never going to run out of leads. You're never going to run out of leads, especially if you understand how to create offers, how to write the campaigns, and how to run this system. And so I hope you guys found this video valuable. These are the different stages of, sales, and this is exactly what I teach, in AI Entrepreneur University. To create an AI business, you have to understand the foundations, you have to understand theory of constraints, but then you have to, set up your cold email system. Get really good at offer creation and market positioning. You can go in here and I have prompts for every single one of these lessons that helps you, generate, find your market, find your pain points, obstacles, solution, understanding Hormozi's value equation and Grand Slam offer creation, understanding other offer creation, like understanding how to create offers in the AI space, and then how to package those up into high quality email copy using email psychology principles, and then building out the AI lead gen systems to add leads into those campaigns. This is how you scale a business in the AI space. I know because I've done it. I've used this process to generate 128 grand in the last 6 months, and it fucking works. And most people are struggling trying to pitch people on Upwork when they don't know that there's literally a repeatable system that within 6 months you can just be getting clients on autopilot. Then you can start hiring a team, productizing. That's a whole nother day. But that's pretty much it. Here's the different stages of automating sales with AI. So I hope you found this video valuable. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next